Good morning. My name is Cedric Lundy. I'm one of the teaching pastors here at Watershed, and glad to be with you guys all to continue this series of Queen of Hearts, and also, happy Black History Month. So, no, it wasn't like intentional. Let's get the black guy up to start it. No, it just worked out that way. So don't anybody go out there and look at they made sure the black guy was up first for Black History Month. It just worked out that way. But today, we're going to talk about love, but not just any love. We are going to talk about black love. What is black love? It's the smell of black skin moisturized with cocoa butter. It is freshly fried chicken in your grandmother's kitchen. It's the smell of collard greens cooking for hours. It's the front porch or stoop where black matriarchs and patriarchs held court and watched over the hood. It's big mama prayers. It's church mothers. It's Gordon Parks photos. It's 3 generations of black men fishing off the side of a bridge overpass together. It's Chadwick's embrace of Michael B. Jordan. It's James Brown singing, "I'm black and I'm proud." It's Muhammad Ali defiantly proclaiming, "I'm pretty." It's afros and cornrows. It's John Carlos and Tommy Smith with the black glove fists in the air. It's HBCU marching bands. It's block parties. It's black barber shops. It's Barry Jenkins films. It's mothers using their saliva to moisten the ashy skin of their child. Lord knows my mama loved me. Black love is a lot of things. That is in no way an exhaustive list of black love. I could continue going on listing images and pictures meant to stoke your senses. But to really understand what black love is, you have to understand black self-hate. And in order to understand black self-hate, you have to understand the pervasiveness and violence of a world of anti-blackness on the souls of black folk. Anti-blackness is not hard to understand. If you understand the ideas, the teachings, the policies, the practices of white supremacy, then you understand anti-blackness. If you understand the history of the construction of race, the coalition of whiteness, the policies and the terror used to preserve, protect, and keep whiteness pure, then you understand anti-blackness. You can be deemed white and understand or have experienced anti-blackness. However, in order to understand black self-hate, then you have to have had blackness thrust upon you. I've been known to tell people I'm white and only appear to be black because my freckles are so close that they blend together. Okay, it's been a long time since I told anyone that, but it was something I used to do when I was a teenager and just bad sense of humor. It was still under development. Call it gullible or very trusting. A few paused at that. But alas, I have no freckles, not even one big one. I'm a descendant of the peoples of Western Africa who were brought to the United States of America into perpetual slavery. I am a descendant of the people who labored and toiled under the oppression of European settlers and colonizers. I am a descendant of people who were deemed inferior in order to be exploited and stripped of their history, their culture, and their humanity for profit and prosperity of those who sought to conquer and dominate an old world that was new to them. I am a descendant of the people who are likened to primates and other beasts in order to justify their subjugation. dehumanized to ease the conscience of their masters. Yes, I am a descendant and a continuer of the legacy of black and brown people of North America who continue the battle to overcome all vestiges of the racial caste system which seeks to obstruct our ability to flourish. That's why Black Love is also Mahalia Jackson singing, "We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I still believe we shall overcome one day." My first memory of being keenly aware of my black body, in that it meant something more than Jesus loving all the children of the world, red, brown, yellow, black, and white, they are precious in his sight, was while watching television. In January 1987, the landmark PBS documentary Eyes on the Prize debuted. I watched it with my family across the thick glass screen of our television set, classic 80s version, big wooden box with knobs for turning the channel and bunny ears antenna. I had my first exposure to porn, black trauma porn. There, lying on the brown carpet of the family room, I watched horrifying black and white images of black folks in the 50s and 60s getting beaten by white civilians and law enforcement, hosed down with fire hydrants, and attacked by police dogs during the civil rights movement. For the first time I can recall, I saw moving images that chronicle part of the history of race in America. For the first time, I saw images of Emmett Till's mutilated body. For the first time, I saw moving images of the Klan marching through the streets and burning crosses in a vacant field or someone's yard. For the first time, I saw moving images of black folks marching, singing, and being beaten for having the audacity to take a stand for their dignity as human beings, sacrificing their bodies for a prize that should not be elusive. For the first time, I saw images of white Americans enraged at the audacity of black folks peacefully protesting against the tyranny of white supremacy in all of its social forms in the public square. For the first time, I saw the steely resolve of Rosa Parks. For the first time, I heard the power of Martin's voice. I don't think I had a sense for how traumatic it was to watch that documentary, to see those images. Becoming keenly aware of my black body coincided with becoming keenly aware of the reality of white racial violence. As much as the black and white footage tried to suggest that this was from a distant time, an otherworldly place, it could not subdue the dread that this was not that long ago. Indeed, my parents were 11 and 9 years old when Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech. It's only in the last few years of seeing videos of the last moments of Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, and Philando Castile that I've gone back in my mind's eye and dusted off the footage of moments from my youth as I try to make sense of it all and endeavor to be a conduit towards conciliation. To be black and attempt to be a conduit toward conciliation of racial harmony in these times where the list of say his or her name, which just got added to with a mere lock, grows longer, each accompanied with raw footage, is to also reconcile your own mortality. Reflection has led me to ask questions like, when was the last time I was aware of my blackness? Watching that documentary at school is what stood out, despite, upon further thought, investigation, and mining my memory, realizing I saw it at home in the safe company of my family first. So what was it about watching parts of it again at school that stood out? The awkward collective awakening we had as kids, I suppose. It was as though nothing was the same again. To say that our innocence was taken from us as we watched those images from America's second Civil War would be a slight over-exaggeration. Accurately put, it was our ignorance that was taken from us. We had been formally initiated into the reality that America at its core is a nation that was established on a racial hierarchy. We had been formally introduced to the historical fact that atop the racial hierarchy are the descendants of those who had deemed themselves white. At the bottom, down in the dirt, was those who had blackness thrust upon them. We had been formally introduced to the reality that this nation had been established through the bloodshed, sweat, and of white racial violence and the fears that fueled it. It had been awakened. I had been awakened to my place in it. And for the first time, it started to make sense. What started to make sense, you ask? Certainly, I was aware there weren't a lot of people who looked like me around unless I was surrounded by my family. My school was 80% white and just under 20% black. At the age of 6, my family had started going to an all-white church. I had the feeling of being the other for as long as I could remember. But at times, it went deeper than just being the other. Previously, I couldn't articulate it. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. That is until I saw Eyes on the Prize. Then I knew exactly what it was. It all started to make sense. Mostly gone were the overt forms of racial violence. The last reported lynching, the lynching of Michael McDonald, occurred in 1981, 6 years prior to the debut of Eyes on the Prize. The documentary debuted the same year the Donald family was awarded a $7 million judgment against the United Klans of America, effectively bankrupting the Klan at the time. White supremacy in America had made adjustments in response to the civil rights movement. Largely gone were the overt forms of white racial violence that had become increasingly frowned upon since the images of the March from Selma, Bloody Sunday, had flashed on television screens across the country. White America made the decision that day as they watched Bull Connor and his boys viciously splitting black skulls and breaking black bodies that dared to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge that they did not want to be that kind of racist. Racism had undergone a masterclass in subtlety, so subtle that often those who wielded it did so unwittingly. Subtle like the strangely disapproving looks I sometimes receive from strangers. Keep in mind, I was not more than 10 years old, and I already knew the look. Today, we often refer to it as microaggressions, but it is racism all the same, fueled by the belief that blackness is inferior. Before, I just thought it was odd. After seeing Eyes on the Prize, I had context. Context for how some people saw me, even as a young black boy. Context for, despite a quelling of racial violence, the belief in inherent racial superiority, or more specifically to me, racial inferiority, was still very much the air we breathe in America. Context for my presence in the incomplete reckoning of America's original sin. While recognizing the reality of racial violence came with the recognition of my blackness, what wasn't recognized was the reality of black self-hatred. One summer at Bible camp, my eye was on one fellow camper named Darcy. I had absolutely no game as a 15-year-old. During that week of young teens camp, I managed to find my way to be in close proximity to Darcy, finding her at the daily sessions or during part of free time. I never confessed my interest in her, but she knew. She wasn't rude or dismissive, but kind and accommodating. She was sweet. Although she managed to slip into the conversation how she had this friend that was coming the following week of young teens camp that I really ought to meet. Instead of flat out telling me she wasn't interested in me like that or just wanted to be friends, she reciprocated my passivity by inferring this mystery friend would be more of a match for me. The following Sunday, when the new campers for the second week arrived, Darcy introduced me to her friend. I wouldn't be surprised if she prefaced me to this friend as well, perhaps in the same manner. Without words expressed, we looked into each other's eyes, and we knew why Darcy believed we would be right for one another. Our white palms met as our fingers pressed against the black hand side. Her hands engulfed mine as he was nearly 8 inches taller than me. We barely engaged each other after that. Not that I actively avoided her, or at least I wasn't aware of it. Looking back, perhaps I did as she did, that this was a reminder that my brown skin disqualified me from even being considered by Darcy. There's a part of me that now wishes I could apologize to whomever it was that Darcy wanted to hook me up with. She deserved better than that. She deserved better than that. She was black and she was beautiful. Alas, perhaps she knew what was going on too. All that to say, at that moment, I hated being black. I don't recall what age I was, but I can still vividly remember standing in the upstairs bathroom in the house of my childhood. Perhaps I'd already finished getting dressed. Perhaps I had just completed relieving myself, because that's what we go to the bathroom for. What I vividly remember was looking into the mirror at what looked back at me and wishing he was white. Wishing my skin and my features reflected the image that was held in higher esteem. Imagining how different things could be if I wasn't black. I have often, and still do, give credit to the Christ for rescuing me from black self-hatred. Not just black self-hatred, but self-hatred in general. But black love saved me too. Black love in the form of a poem I had framed and up on the wall of my bedroom parallel to the door frame so that I saw it any time I departed my room and headed into a world that was not made for my black ass. A poem I have shared with other black youth who have found themselves afflicted by black self-hate. I still have it, and I think it is time for me to hang it up in my daughter's room. I Am the Black Child by Michael Wynn. I am special. Ridicule cannot sway me. I am strong. Obstacles cannot stop me. I hold my head high, proudly proclaiming my uniqueness. I hold my pace, continuing forward through adversity. I am proud of my culture and my heritage. I'm confident that I can achieve my every goal. I am becoming all I can be. I am the black child. I am a child of God. I grew up with images of a white Jesus. Nearly every picture, painting, flannel graph, movie, or any other image depicting Jesus depicted him in the likeness of the Europeans who constructed race and formulated the idea of white supremacy. The first time I remember someone declaring that Jesus was in fact black was in the movie Malcolm X, starring Denzel Washington. It made sense to me at the time. However, As I've learned the history of white supremacy and racism, I've come to realize this truth. Jesus wasn't white or black. Jesus wasn't white or black because the historical flesh and blood Jesus, fully divine, fully man, walked this earth a full 1,500 years prior to the development of white supremacy and the construction of race. Jesus technically not being black does not mean he was not and is not familiar with the black experience. Jesus went out of his way to firmly identify himself and thus God Almighty with those who were on the very bottom rung of society's social caste at that time and in that place. The only way he could have been lower than being a Jewish man from a disgraced family line, a line that had begun with such hope and literal divine promise, only to become a shame to the entire nation, a nation living in bondage to and under the heel of Roman rule, would have been to be born a Jewish woman. Jesus was and is one who is well acquainted with our suffering, our exhaustion, our rage, our caste. Jesus, while technically not black, knows what it means to be black. And because Jesus precedes the construct of race, because he precedes blackness, he also shows the way to derail anti-blackness, the way to overcome black self-hate, and the way of black love. The way of black love is embracing what the world has deemed inferior as complete. The way of black love is embracing what the world has deemed deficient as sufficient. The way of black love is embracing what the world has deemed dangerous as good. The way of black love is embracing what the world has deemed ugly, beautiful. The way of black love is embracing what the world has deemed unclean as worthy. The way of black love is embracing what the world has deemed shameful as celebratory. And Jesus exemplifies this when he touches lepers. Jesus exemplifies this when he doesn't practice the Billy Graham rule with women. Jesus exemplifies this when he invites himself to Nicodemus's house. Because Lord knows my mom told me don't ever invite yourself into somebody else's house. Jesus exemplifies this when he rides a jackass into Jerusalem. You see, black love is forged from resilience, the courage, the strength, the stamina of black folks in the face of an unrelentingly anti-black world. But make no mistake, black love is not isolated to the one who carries it. Black love overflows. Black love is not a love that is solely focused on the self. Black love extends to anyone and everyone who has had blackness thrust upon them. Nothing better embodies this more than black people who are otherwise complete strangers giving one another the nod. We nod because there is a shared knowing. A knowing that does not require words, that does not require the telling of our stories. We already know. We recognize, and there's a love that extended by simply being here. It's like the first time I ever went to the motherland, to the black continent. They did not say to me, "Welcome to Côte d'Ivoire." They said, "Welcome home, brother." Now, one might find it a little odd that I have spent so much time, 24 minutes to be exact, talking about black love to a room that is predominantly white. What could white people possibly walk away with for such a talk that provides a very clear application as they go forth? What can they glean from such a talk that doesn't end up being appropriated like being woke has in recent years? You see, wokeness was shorthand for the journey black folks go on from black self-hate to black self-actualization to black love. While black people have historically been prevented from achieving the dream or embodying the ideal, those deemed white are often crushed by the pressure, the expectations of living up to the standard that being absorbed into whiteness places on them. The lie of the black Jezebel has always been juxtaposed with the pursuit of white feminine purity. It is altogether different, but you see, those deemed white have been put into a box too. They've been handed a narrative as well. Unlike the narrative of inferiority and subhumanness, they have been given a narrative of superiority and greatness that for many is impossible to live up to and soul-crushing to chase. While black people have historically been prevented from achieving the dream or embodying the ideal, those deemed white are often crushed by the pressure of living up to the standards of manhood, womanhood, the American dream, being a wife or a mother, the standards of beauty, the ideal figure or body shape. For all of its misogyny and objectification of the female form, Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back is black love. If you don't believe me, listen to the rant at the beginning of the song where whoever it is talking to her friend Becky, and what does she say at the end? It's just so gross. She's just so black. And what's the first thing Sir Mix-a-Lot says? I like. Forget the rest of what he says. He is going against the grain of what is often thought of as what has to be the ideal that so many are put under and feel like they're not enough. My point is this. Probably everyone in this room, to some degree or another, has struggled with self-hate due to the narrative, the script that was thrust upon them or that they were absorbed into. A narrative and script they never asked for, but has always been a part of their unique human experience. Whether it's by the way of love, the way of pride, the way of persistence, the way of deconstruction, the real revolution always begins with turning those narratives, those scripts upside down and turning them inside out. We flip it on them. It begins by not changing or rebranding myself. It begins by embracing myself as I am. And embracing myself is not about posting a selfie of myself and declaring to everyone that I'm loving and caring for myself. On the contrary, embracing myself is best exemplified by my ability to love and embrace others. Again, the way of Jesus alludes to this in the greatest commandment. Love God and love others. This is probably old news, but it is still good and true. You cannot love others if you don't love yourself. You cannot love yourself if you don't accept God's, the divine's love for you. The love of the divine is so misunderstood because we often forget the first thing God says about all things, including humanity. It is good. Whatever story, whatever narrative that you find thrust upon yourself or absorbed into, whatever struggles it causes you, whatever ways that it has you mired in self-hate, disliking parts of yourself or the whole of yourself, may you be reminded that the story of you begins the same way that the story of all the creation begins. It is good. You are good. What's your story gonna be? What's the story that you are going to live into? The one thrust upon you, or the one that you were absorbed into, or the true, real story? The story that liberates all of us to not only just love ourselves, but love everyone we come into contact with. In closing, the Apostle John reminds us in 1 John 4:7-9. Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. This is how God showed his love. This is how God showed his love among us. The divine sent the one and only Son into the world that we might be fully alive. Amen.